power team of We Are Change Connecticut, WeAreChangeCT.org, and this is Truth Talk News.
Now a question. What have Herbert Hoover, Art Linkletter, Jack London, and Richard Nixon all had in common? Well, they've all been members of the exclusive all-male Bohemian Club in California, where every year at this time, the elite from around the country get together for 2.5 weeks of fun and games. Steve Shepard has this special assignment report.
More than 2,000 members of San Francisco's exclusive and all-male Bohemian Club have once again descended on Northern California. These men will spend most of the month of July encamped on some 2,700 acres of pristine and privately owned redwood forest. Forest very much like this. The place is called Bohemian Grove, and it's located just 80 miles north of San Francisco. The Grove is the Bohemian Club's summer retreat, and its facilities are hidden beneath lush forest canopy extending south from the banks of Sonoma County's Russian River. For more than a century, the camp has been a place where club members and guests from all across America gather to relax. The retreat is divided into dozens of small camps, the most prominent of which is called Mandalay. Among its members are businessmen like Leonard Firestone and Edgar Kaiser, and political figures like Gerald Ford, Henry Kissinger, William French Smith, and George Shultz. President Reagan, Vice President Bush, and Defense Secretary Weinberger are members of other camps. Richard Nixon is a Bohemian, and so are high-ranking executives of such companies as Eastern Airlines, Standard Oil of Indiana, and Bank of America. For the most part, the men of Bohemian Grove are over 50, highly successful, and, according to many employees, politically conservative.
Well, each year, many of them seem to have a stunt, or try to come up with a stunt. Last year, 1980, the popular button was Free the Fortune 500.
Membership in the Grove is by invitation only and is determined by such factors as social standing, occupation, and personal connections. Privacy is one of the Grove's most cherished virtues. Members may not photograph, record, speak, or write about activities at the retreat. While many public officials are Grove members, the press is a distinctly unwelcome guest.
We're from ABC News.
Well, get back there. Get back there.
Can we talk to somebody in the...
Get back there.
Anyone willing to navigate a boat up the Russian River can get a glimpse of the northern edge of the compound, but that's about all. Still, there are outsiders who have researched the Grove. Sociology professor William Dumhoff found out enough to write a book on the place.
Well, I think it's a playground for the powerful. It's a place where wealthy men from all of the United States gather for 2 weeks to relive summer camp with this ceremony called the cremation of care that begins the 2-week encampment where the body of dull care, symbolizing woes and concerns, is burned on an altar in front of a big owl statue. When that ceremony ends, they all start to cheer and yell and hand each other a beer. And
other regular activities include the production of 2 plays, one of which involves major sets, orchestral music, and extravagant costumes. The other play appears to be just a bit on the lighter side, at least judging from these old photos. Members also spend time swimming, hiking, relaxing in the sun, and doing a bit of drinking from the Grove's own privately labeled spirits. Like a boys' camp, the Grove has a symbol, in this case a somewhat fierce-looking owl. It also has a patron saint, St. John of Nepomuk, a legitimate 13th century Bohemian canonized for his sense of honor. What the Grove does not have is any women, not even as employees. Despite its camp-like atmosphere, the Grove does host some serious business.
to the degree that there's anything important happens at the Bohemian Grove, it's political. The important speeches that have been made at the Bohemian Grove have been made, for instance, and the best example, by Richard Nixon. Eisenhower gave a speech there. It was the first time the West Coast establishment really saw him close up.
Discussions at the Grove in the 1930s helped lead to the development of nuclear power and the atomic bomb. It was at the Grove in 1967 that Richard Nixon and Ronald Reagan hashed out differences over their presidential ambitions. Each year, guests like Henry Kissinger or Zbigniew Brzezinski address members on their areas of expertise. Presidential counselor Edwin Meese will be among this year's speakers. And each year, other guests come to the Grove simply to enjoy themselves. This year, CIA Director William Casey is a scheduled guest of John McCone, former CIA Director. Baseball Commissioner Bowie Kuhn has been invited as a guest of baseball owner Peter O'Malley. Despite the presence of so many notables, the Grove is not without its small headaches. Anti-nuclear demonstrators gathered near the entrance to the retreat this year to wave signs and chant slogans. The Grove is also facing a suit from the state of California because it refuses to hire women. Still, the Bohemian Grove seems in no danger of passing. Herbert Hoover called it the world's greatest men's party, and there is a list of powerful people waiting to get in on it.
When will he learn that me he cannot slay? Year after year he burned me in this grove, lifting your puny shouts of triumph to the stars. But when again he turned your faces to the marketplace, do ye not find me waiting as of old? Fools to dream ye conquer care.
Anybody can be President of the United States, but very few can ever have any hope of becoming President of the Bohemian Club. President Richard Nixon, 1972. For 17 days each July, the elite secretly meet in a remote, sacred grove of ancient redwood trees in the deep forest surrounding San Francisco. Some 1,500 in number, their membership roll is kept secret, but includes the super-rich Blood Dynasty family members of the Illuminati, heavy-hitting corporate chieftains, and high government officials. Mingling among them are a number of Hollywood movie stars, Broadway producers, famous entertainers, musicians, authors, painters, and poets, great statesmen, and so we're told, gentlemen. The names you'll recognize: former U.S. presidents William Howard Taft, Calvin Coolidge, Herbert Hoover, Dwight Eisenhower, Richard Nixon, Gerald Ford, Ronald Reagan, George Bush Sr. and Jr., other elitists and administration people like Colin Powell, also members of the exclusive men's club, California Governor Pete Wilson, the mayors of Los Angeles, San Francisco, and other major cities. All sorts of people, former FBI and CIA directors, former Secretary of State George Shultz, Henry Kissinger, international bankers, heads of big oil companies, corporate CEOs. They all come up to the Redwoods to frolic with some of the most creative and famous people in history. Mark Twain, Ambrose Bierce, Bret Hart, Jack London, Will Rogers, Douglas Fairbanks, Charlie Chaplin, and Art Linkletter all let their hair down and get the freak on at the Bohemian Grove. Even Britain's Queen Elizabeth has come to the Grove. In 1983, Her Majesty was honored with a pagan dance ceremony, complete with expensive, elaborate stage props such as Egyptian pyramids and Babylonian ziggurats. Yet, even the Queen of England could not join the club if she applied. Why? Because the club is exclusively male. Women have not ever been allowed since the club's founding in 1873. So what is this ultra-elite club with the bizarre Druid customs of the mystery schools of Babylon? They are the Bohemians, formerly known as the Bohemian Club. They practically own their own county north of San Francisco, a 2,700-acre summer camp they call the Bohemian Grove. Since the 1890s, the Grovers, as they are known to intimates, have gathered amongst these redwood trees to get away from it all and have a little summer vacation fun and avoid business dealings altogether for 2 weeks. At least that's the official story. Then there are the other stories, some of them strange and hard to believe. Tales of world leaders plotting the world's destiny there in secret war rooms, handpicking presidents and future leaders from the Bohemian Grove. Reports of occult rituals being conducted by these same powerful men clad in only hitted red, black, and white robes, offering an effigy of a human being to be sacrificed by a fire to a towering 45-foot stone owl god, the great owl of Bohemia, in a ceremony called the cremation of care. Sometimes they discard the robes, don women's clothing, and parade around on stage in theatrical productions. Or if the spirit so moves them, they wear no clothes at all. Things get even stronger still. Stories have come out of the Grove about wild homosexual orgies, male and female prostitutes being engaged in what can only be described as extreme sexual games, young children being exploited in unspeakable ways, up to and including cold-blooded ritual murder. There are stories involving actual human sacrifice on the altar of the owl god statue. Understandably, it is all very hard to believe. But is any of it true? Does the Bohemian Grove emulate the ancient mystery cults of Babylon, Rome, and Greece? Do its members celebrate the old gods such as Molech, Ishtar, Lilith, Attis, Mithra, Apollo, Zoroaster, and others? Or is it a Western secret society like the Freemasons and Yale's exclusive Skull and Bones? Are they just having good, clean fun at the Grove? Or are they covertly plotting to take over the world? Why do our world leaders meet here to share a fascination with the arts and all things Bohemian? Why the obsession with the occult and ancient Babylon? Like the Bilderberg Group, who meet every summer abroad and in the United States every 4 years to coincide with the presidential elections, the Bohemian Grove is closed to the public, sealed off by helicopters, a private security force, and armed guards. Without the prying eyes of the public upon them, the power elite engage in whatever activities they wish at the Grove, whether it's crafting policy matters in secret, dancing around in drag, cheating on their wives with prostitutes, taking drugs, practicing black magic, or even committing murder. The pristine isolation of the Bohemian Grove provides a convenient cover for any immoral, illegal, or ungentlemanly behavior one desires. The cremation of care involves the sacrifice of a child to Molech. Molech figures in the book of Deuteronomy and in the book of Leviticus as a form of idolatry. Leviticus 18:21. And thou shalt not let any of thy seed pass through the fire to Moloch.
This picture, she gave me the same picture, a Xerox copy of it. This is an owl that Grace had drawn, and President Obama said that he would cherish it, and I'm certainly going to frame this and cherish it as well.
For most of the club's long history, the public could only speculate as to what was going on inside the Bohemian Grove. Contrary to popular belief, Alex Jones did not sneak into the Bohemian Grove with Mike Hansen in 2000. They were invited to help control opposition to the elite. Alex Jones' InfoWars COINTELPRO operation was set up in 1995 by FBI COINTELPRO kingpin Ted Gunderson and CIA agent Anthony J. Hilder. Hilder, by his own admission to Dr. Leonard Horowitz, created the conspiracy genre in 1967 with the help of Gunderson. But don't believe me. Do your own research. Find your own truth. There is only one truth. Seek, and you will find it.
So let's talk about the war on We the People, Mr. Hilder, and how your involvement is in that, the war on We the People, how you are part of the reason why the message never gets to the masses, because you're involved in a COINTELPRO operation. You have also denied that you have...
I have been told by Lynn Horowitz, Dr. Lynn Horowitz, on stage at the Conspiracy Con, that I told him I was a member of the Central Intelligence Agency, the CIA. And that was a great surprise to me because I never picked up a check.
Well, you know, this is Dr. Leonard Horowitz right now, and frankly, that's what you not only told me, but your friends Robert Kassar and many others who knew you from many years ago. You, in fact, said to me, I'd like to show you my bullet hole in my chest as I was part of the agency, and I assumed that you were telling me the truth. Now, I don't understand why you would deny what you told myself and Robert Kassar and other people, as a matter of fact, that you were with the agency, that currently you have a scar on your chest associated allegedly with a bullet hole that you received in the service of the CIA, and that now you're making a claim that I somehow fabricated this.
Don't be sheeple, people. Be the change you wish to see in the world. Go to wearechangect.org. I'm Howard Nima. Thank you for watching Truth Talk News, where news the mainstream media ignores is the top story. For more truth, subscribe to Freedom First Films on YouTube and Truth Talk News on livestream.com.